Friends, let's agree that life on earth is sometimes tragic, and that there are things that happen on this top side of earth that cause the heart to tremble, that causes us to lose hope, that causes us to question whether there is God up there. What would you do when you go through a tragic event and your life as you know it right now comes to a shattering stop, and you discover that you can no longer live the way you've known life to be? We came to Lesotho, to Maseru. You can see the beautiful city of Maseru in the background. Lovely people, but also there are stories of tragedy in Maseru. We went to Maluti, recorded a testimony of a man who's taken 23 years after the tragedy. It's a story worth sharing. What happened? How did he survive it? How has he managed to pick up his life and still live? How does he end up still believing that there is God and that he can still serve him? I invite you to come with me. Let's walk this journey. Let's hear perhaps how the Lord can turn circumstances that were meant to destroy us for his own glory. And may God bless you as you sit back and watch this story. See you next time. This is MelVee from MelVee Video Productions in Maseru. God bless you.
Our viewers, we are still discussing, we are still listening to the story. We are still walking through the tragedy that took place 23 years ago with Mr. Sefuthi in Lesotho. That is it.
That.
Let's continue again on our story. It's a painful story, but it's a story that we know that there is hope in it to give to other people, to encourage other people also who might be going through the similar situation. But here you are today. I just want us to take us back to the hospital a bit. You met a chaplain in the hospital while you were with the other patients, and you told me that you were at the state whereby you could not do anything, move, but you only had your mouth to use. Can you take us through that in a few minutes?
Yeah, I was blessed while I was in hospital, I should say so, because the chaplain in that ward used to come very close to me, and some of the most of the days he would say, "Sefuthi, you seem to be understanding the Bible, so would you please do an interpret for me as I am talking to the patients?"
So he was speaking in English, you had to interpret in what?
I had to interpret in Sesotho.
Okay.
As he speaks in English.
All right.
So I ultimately happened to be helping now other patients, whereby in fact they would even ask sometimes if the chaplain is not there, they would even ask me, the nurses, to lead in the prayer while I could not move or do anything. They would bring the Bible to me and tell me, or I tell them where to open and
where to read, yeah.
And where to read.
Your head was still pierced with
the head was still tracted, yes. But
then you could do the prayer for the people.
I could do it. By then, really, to me, at that particular time, after a month or 2 to 3 months, by then I was feeling like I can do something, though my hands cannot really move as such.
And that issue would be praying for people and preaching while you're on traction.
Yes, Ntate, that's what I did.
In season and out of season. You were really living it.
That's what I did, Ntate, in hospital.
Wow. This is a powerful testimony that when you are walking through the storm, you need to keep walking. At this time, your hope was back.
At this time, really, I should think my hope was back, although I could still not see myself walking like any other person.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the hope that I'm alive and I can still do something for other people.
Okay.
So,
what other things that were you thinking of that you could do for people? You were already praying and preaching. What else were you thinking that you could do for people in that state?
I would look to some other patients who were coming in the hospital,
Uh-huh.
and seeing them having no hope.
Yeah.
Really, to me, that would be a challenge to try to assure them that they can do something, and they have to believe it, that God has power to do miracles on their lives. Although I could not, let's be clear here, I could not prove myself or give a proof of myself saying that God has done this for me, but I felt that He can do it to them.
You had no proof of your own,
Yes, I could not assure
but you
one.
were telling people that it's possible.
Yes.
God can do it for you.
That's what I did in that.
That's really powerful. So in the hospital, this is what you did during that time, encouraging people who are coming, who have been told that it was hopeless. Because even yourself, you were told that it was hopeless from the first hospital to the second hospital, even to the third hospital. But you believed that no, there is God in heaven who can do better than this.
Yes, Ntate, this
And
is
by faith, you're already saying that God has done it for me. I may not see the proof now, but I'm still here and I can talk to the people. That is very powerful, that is good. That's a real testimony. So to our viewers there in the hospital, at home, whatever situation you may be in, here is the man who says, even when I could not even wake up, I could not even turn my head, I could speak to people that don't give up hope, don't give up on God. You can make it too. You might be in the hospital feeling so hopeless, but as long as you are alive, remember, it's still possible that God will take you through. That is food. Let's continue again. Now you came out of the hospital.
Yes.
You came back to your family. You came back to your people. You came back to your country. You came back to the place where you used to work. It's 9 months. A child is born in 9 months.
Yeah.
So what happened? You're back at home. The attitudes of people, how people viewed you and looked at you. Tell me, how did you adjust to all this?
After being released from the hospital, coming back to Maluti, things had changed in my life completely, I should say so.
Mm.
Because at this time I could not walk by myself. I had to be moved by a wheelchair. If trying to walk, I would not even take about 10 meters to walk. But as I came home, I would see my friends coming to me. Some of them I would see that these people is like they are afraid of me, or they are fearing something, I don't know. But as time went on, things happened. I happened to be moving a little bit, going to church, and people now began to be accepting me as I am. Because I even went to work. I can remember something very funny that was happening when I was at work. I used a toilet in female ward there. And sometimes as I would be walking, trying to get to the toilet, some of these friends of mine, one would run to the toilet before me, not really realizing that I'm not able to control anything with. They are playing.
Okay.
I think this is one way of saying they were accepting me,
Okay.
but really not aware that I cannot control anything with me.
Okay.
So if I feel like I need to get to this place, I need to,
Okay.
there and then.
Okay.
Failure to do that, something might happen.
Okay.
But this is how it was, maybe with other people feeling that, no, we are playing with him.
Okay.
We are being with him.
So the issue of stigma, that now people look at you as a disabled person, for you, you said you were viewing it in a different way.
I did not see the way they do it, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could see the acceptance.
To me, it was as if this was an acceptance.
So now you come back from the hopeless state to the state whereby you are able to walk to church. How did the church, the congregation, accept you back? Like, were they be able to elect you again into positions for you to play your part as before?
Yes. As I came back to the hospital at Maluti, I was even appointed to be the head elder while I was in this situation. So that means the church was accepting me, and they could not see any problem with me except that I don't walk like they are doing.
So you are no longer angry with God. You are back. You are serving Him again as nothing has happened.
Now I was more like a happy person than any other person, I should think so.
Yeah.
And this was a blessing in disguise probably for me, because things that I did after the accident, I think some of the things really I never thought of them before the accident.
Okay. Things like what?
After the accident, that was only then that I had an interest of selling books. It's not just selling
The
books.
spiritual books.
The spiritual books.
Mm-hmm.
And up to the present time, in Lesotho, probably the whole Lesotho conference, when one is thinking of a book, a Christian book, they will be thinking of Sefuthi.
Yes.
Who sometimes I would tease them, say, are you people coming to a disabled person to do you something that you need to do for him? Anyway, I would be just saying that in sharing a joke. But I always feel very happy when somebody has come to me and said, we need a help on this. I would try to get the book or whatever one wants in a way of saying, this is what I can do myself.
That is 80% of the books that I have, I got them from you and many other pastors and many other people who get the books. Really, they got them from you. You are able to order and make sure that you find those books. So it's a great blessing despite what happened. So what can you say about God when you are going through a storm, when you are going through a tragedy? How would you encourage people to continue their relationship?
I want to say this. To me, it's like when this door closes, there is another door that opens.
Yeah?
So whatever problems you could be facing, remember that God is with you. And it's a very solid promise that God is going to be with us up until the end.
Even on that very accident, you are saying despite the accident, God had another door that he was opening for you, even through that tragedy?
Well, he opened some other doors due to that accident to me.
Yeah.
To me, it is a blessing that I have a wife who is a tutor.
Yeah.
By then, before the accident, she was only having her diploma.
Mm-hmm.
She had her degree, the first degree and the second degree after the accident.
Okay.
And my children, all of them now, are in the university.
Uh-huh.
I don't know then if I could not be saying this is a blessing. What else could I say it is?
So, okay. So that means God still has blessed you with a lot of other things.
Yes, really.
And then now with evangelism, I understand you are going through the camp meetings every time, selling a number of books to the people.
That's what I do.
So your family also played a very important role on this?
They are playing a very big role, really, in supporting me.
Okay.
Probably without them, I could not have done it.
Without your family?
Yeah.
We thank God for the family.
I don't think I could have gone this way, probably.
Your children and your wife
And
your siblings, your sisters, your brothers,
that's it in that.
and the church
And the church
and
as
your
well.
friends
Yeah.
have always been there for you.
They have been there for me at the time of need, really.
Mm.
It has not been an easy way,
Mm.
but it has happened.
That is good. What can you say to the people who are having their partners going through this? As we look at your wife, as we look at the children, how would you just advise them or encourage them? There might be others who are not coping. Some have left their husbands in such situation. Some children have disappeared from their parents in such situation. How would you say?
I can only remember one verse that is found, is it in Isaiah 40? Is that Isaiah 43? The beginning part of it, where it is said that God has called you by your name.
Mm-hmm.
As I have seen that God has called me by my name, He is also calling these other people around me with all the problems they are facing. God has called them with their names, and if they accept Him, He is a deliverer to them and me. So if they keep their trust in Him, they keep their hope in Him, He is everything to us.
What specifically could you say to the wife or to the husband who is having somebody who has gone through this tragedy in terms of how they should take care of?
I would say the best person to ask whenever there is any problem you see on the patient is the patient. He or she knows exactly what he goes through. So be patient to the patient. Know that he knows or she knows what she goes through. If you listen to him, you'll be able to help him with all that you have.
Okay. What would you say to the children of people who might be going through such a situation? Some, it might be very early in their lives, and the accidents might be new, or the change of life that has taken place in your life might be new in their lives. How would you encourage those children, looking at how your children managed to cope so far?
Young people, I would want to say to you, whatever problems you could be facing today, you also need to remember that you are to play a part, your part in this world. Whether my father or my mother has failed me in any way, I have an obligation in this life. I have to play my part. So don't give up because the father or the mother has been going through terrible things. Make sure that you can also make the difference in this world.
That's powerful. So young people, you can hear, don't give up on God. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the situation you're going through simply because you have been going through a rough time, maybe because of your parents, maybe because of the tragedies that happened to your friends or to your parents. Just keep going and having hope and make and do something out of your life, for God is still interested in your life. That is for we thank you so much for sharing this with our audience, sharing this with the nations, sharing this with humanity. And we thank God that you have not given up on God, you have not given up on yourself. And then just the last part, what would you say to the church, the Christian church out there? What would you say to them in terms of encouraging and support their fellow brothers, even other people who go through such situations, as we try to wrap up this interview?
To the church at large, I would say, brothers and sisters, we are going through a hard time, a difficult time, and in these difficult times, we have often stepped on others' toe. But that should not be where our minds are always. Our minds should always be in God. And let us also remember that Christ himself went through all these other tragedies, and he never gave up life to them. In fact, rather, he promised us while we were right in sin that he is going to be with us up until the end. So if we cannot desert him, he will never desert us. Church, let us hold on to that word till he comes.
No, thank you so much, Ntate Sefuthi, for the words of encouragement to the Christian community in a very special way, that we need to keep going and trusting in the Lord. We looked at your life when you got an accident with a beautiful life, which you were even questioning as a God, is there anything else that I needed to do? But we saw you when you were told that your situation is hopeless, but you didn't give up. We saw you when you started encouraging others while you were still deep down, very weak. So you didn't wait until you were strong enough. You didn't wait until you can see a proof that God has performed a miracle. But rather you translated your miracles in saying, here I am, I can still talk, I can still go around with my wheelchair and sell books to the people, encourage people, call more people to the movement. The power of the printed page to you has made such a great impact, and you're making a great impact in the world. So we thank you so much for sharing this testimony with us today. And viewers, this was the testimony of Mr. Retselisitsoe Sefuthi in the Kingdom of Lesotho, Southern Africa. From Mahalisuk, while we are here at Maluti Adventist Hospital at this time, where he has been working and residing, working with his wife, who is a lecturer at the Maluti Adventist College, and then with his children residing here but they are still at school in different universities. He's still continuing with life, even today as we are speaking, 22 years later. After the accident, he still have a hope that Christ is coming. So thank you. God bless.